Have you ever wondered if the people who enter your life are simply random occurrences? Or is there an invisible design that orchestrates every encounter, every moment of interaction? We often believe that relationships are a result of chance, luck, or simply personal choice. But what if I told you that every encounter, whether fleeting or lifelong, carries a profound meaning, a sacred purpose, preordained? In this article, as a researcher who has spent decades contemplating and delving deeply into Buddhist teachings, I will join you in unraveling this mystery through the ancient yet incredibly relevant wisdom of Zen Buddhism. We will explore how every relationship is a seed of destiny, a precious lesson for your spiritual journey, and how you can recognize, cherish, and even gracefully release them with mindfulness. Get ready to completely transform the way you perceive friendships, love, family, and even the seemingly most difficult challenges in life. Chapter 1. The endless flow of karma and connections. Every encounter has a purpose. Zen Buddhism, like the entirety of the Buddhist teachings, originates from an immutable truth. Nothing happens by chance in this universe. Every phenomenon, every event, every encounter is the result of a complex chain of cause and effect, woven by countless invisible threads of karma and interconnectedness. This is not merely an abstract philosophy, but the very essence of existence that we often overlook. In a serene monastery nestled amidst majestic mountains where cherry blossoms danced in the spring breeze, the elderly Zen master Hotaka, though well into his 80s, possessed eyes as clear as mountain lakes. Those eyes reflected wisdom gathered through decades of meditation and contemplation. Unlike many monks who sought complete solitude, Hotaka believed that our connections with others were essential pathways to understanding the deeper nature of existence. In the web of life, he often told his students, each thread touches countless others. There are no isolated strands. One particularly beautiful spring morning, as pink cherry blossoms swirled around his meditation spot beneath an ancient tree, Hotaka noticed a young man approaching the monastery gates. The visitor, Hiroshi, moved with determination in his steps but uncertainty in his eyes. Hotaka recognized that particular look, the expression of someone carrying a question too heavy for their heart to bear alone. Hiroshi had traveled 17 days from a coastal village far to the south. Though he had never met Hotaka before, something had drawn him to this particular monastery, to this particular teacher. Later, he would describe it as a feeling like being called by a voice I couldn't quite hear, but somehow understood. It was as though an invisible current had carried him there, much like Buddha taught. Everything arises from causes and conditions. Nothing exists entirely alone. After being welcomed and offered tea to refresh himself after his journey, Hiroshi finally gathered the courage to ask the question that had driven him across mountains and valleys. "Master Hotaka," he began, bowing respectfully, "I've been troubled by something I cannot explain. Throughout my life, I've noticed that sometimes when I meet people, I feel an immediate connection, a sense of recognition as if I've known them before in some forgotten time. With others, I feel an immediate unease, a shadow crossing my spirit without clear reason. Do people come into our lives merely by chance? Or is there some invisible pattern I cannot see?" Hotaka remained silent for several moments, allowing Hiroshi's question to resonate in the space like the lingering sound of a temple bell. Finally, he replied, "People never enter our lives by accident. This truth lies deeper than the deepest ocean and reaches higher than the tallest mountain. Each encounter is a thread in an invisible tapestry that began to be woven long before you drew your first breath." This perspective of Zen Buddhism opens up an entirely new dimension of relationships. The concepts of karma and interconnectedness are key to understanding this. Karma is the seed, the actions, words, and thoughts we have sown in the past and present. Conditions are the external factors that allow that seed to sprout and bear fruit. Each of us is a collection of countless karmic seeds from innumerable lifetimes. When these seeds encounter the right conditions, they bear fruit, manifesting as relationships, events, or experiences in our current life. The Buddha taught, we have been each other's mothers, fathers, sisters, and brothers in countless past lives. This is not merely poetic language or a metaphor, but a profound truth about the nature of interconnected existence. It means that every person you meet, whether fleetingly or for a lifetime, may carry a karmic connection from countless previous lives. A stranger who suddenly appears and helps you in your most difficult moment, then disappears without a trace, that could be a favorable connection from a past life-bearing fruit. Conversely, someone you feel an inexplicable unease with might also be a karmic thread being resolved. Recall the story of the stranger who helped me during my early research days. At that time, I was struggling with a complex problem in my thesis. Every door seemed to be slammed shut. One afternoon, as I sat dejected in the library, an older man, whom I had never met before, suddenly approached and asked how I was doing. He wasn't a professor or a student, just a regular reader there. We talked, and unexpectedly, he offered a suggestion, an approach I had never considered. That suggestion not only solved my problem, but also opened up an entirely new direction for my research. After that encounter, I never saw him again. For years, I wondered if it was just a coincidence, a mere stroke of luck. But as I delved deeper into Buddhist teachings, I realized it was a favorable connection manifesting. No act of help is random. We meet the people we need to meet, and we are the people others need to meet at precisely the right time. Chapter 2: 3 Types of Seeds in the Garden of Your Life. Understanding the purpose of each relationship. To help Hiroshi understand these connections more deeply, Hodaka used a familiar yet powerful metaphor. Imagine your life as a garden. In that garden, every person who crosses your path is like a seed planted by the hand of destiny. Each seed carries a different potential, giving rise to different types of plants in our spiritual garden. Type 1. The majestic trees, foundation and stability. Some grow like magnificent trees that provide shade and shelter through many seasons of your life. Hotaka pointed to a majestic maple that had clearly witnessed the passing of many generations. These are the people who bring stability, serving as a steadfast anchor in your life. They are those who provide foundation, boundaries, and direction, much like riverbanks that prevent the flow from dispersing. They might be parents, revered teachers, lifelong friends, or a life partner. They are the ones who are always there, non-judgmental, simply listening and supporting. Their presence brings a sense of security, helping you weather life's storms. For example, the village school teacher. I still clearly remember the village school teacher who taught me my first letters. He didn't just impart knowledge, he shaped my character and instilled virtues. When my family faced financial difficulties, it was he who quietly helped, opening the door for me to continue my education. His steadfastness, advice, and unconditional support created a solid foundation for my future career in life. He was like an enduring ancient tree, sheltering me through my most challenging years. The soulmate friend. Throughout my research career, there was one friend with whom I could confide everything, from my smallest successes to my most crushing failures. He never offered advice unless I asked, but he was always there to listen, to share a cup of tea and a compassionate gaze. His presence was a stable source of energy, helping me regain balance whenever I felt lost. Type 2, the brilliant blossoms, renewal and awakening. Others, Hataka continued, like a patch of wildflowers near the garden wall, bloom brilliantly but briefly, present for just a season before they return to the earth. Yet their beauty changes you, and the garden remembers their presence in the soil itself. These are the people who bring renewal, challenge your perceptions, introduce new ideas, or awaken dormant aspects of your spirit. Like spring rain on parched earth, they may disrupt your comfortable patterns, but they awaken new growth. These individuals may only appear for a short time, sometimes just a few days, but they leave an indelible mark. They open up new horizons, break through conventional thinking, and make you see the world through different eyes. For example, the nomadic artist. During a pilgrimage to ancient monasteries, I once met a nomadic artist. He lived freely, unburdened, dedicating his life to creating music and traveling everywhere. We spoke for only 3 days, but his life stories, his perspective on art and freedom, planted a seed of longing within me to break free from the constraints of rigid academic life. He was a brilliant but brief blossom who transformed my perception of life's meaning. The failed business venture. At one point, I engaged in a risky business venture. My partner was full of passion and groundbreaking ideas but lacked caution. The project ultimately failed, leading to significant losses. Initially, I blamed him, but later I realized that this partner was the blossom who taught me invaluable lessons about risk management, the necessity of detailed planning, and resilience after setbacks. It was a costly lesson, but essential for my growth. Type 3. The sharp stones. Difficult lessons in growth. Those who hurt us are often our most profound teachers, Hotaka said. They are like the sharp stones that line this very path beneath our feet. When you first step on a sharp stone, you feel only pain. But over time, the passing of countless feet smooths its edges. The stone remains a stone, but its relationship with those who walk the path transforms. These are the people who bring difficulties, suffering, betrayal, or negative experiences. They are the harshest teachers in your life's garden. They don't come to please you, but to sharpen your spirit, to help you discover your inner strength and realize your true path. The Buddha taught, "No one saves us but ourselves. No one can and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path." The difficult people in our lives, the fisherman who ridiculed Hiroshi's dreams, the friend who betrayed his confidence, or the stranger whose words cut like a knife, they each serve to shape our spirit in ways that gentle encounters cannot. They teach us where our path is not, helping us discover where it truly lies. For example, the pain of betrayal. I once experienced a deep betrayal from a friend I trusted implicitly. The pain and anger at that time seemed to consume me. But looking back, I realized that this difficult encounter forced me to confront the shadows within myself, my naivete, my dependence on others, and my fear of being hurt. It pushed me to delve deeper into meditation, forgiveness, and learning to let go to protect myself. That friend, though having caused a wound, was the one who helped me sharpen my soul. The strict teacher in my youth. In my student days, I had an incredibly strict professor. He frequently criticized, pressured, and was never lenient. There were times I felt insulted, belittled, but it was precisely because of that harshness that I learned iron. Discipline, perseverance, and the ability to self-learn and self-improve without external encouragement. He was a sharp stone that helped shape my academic path in the most powerful way. Hotaka continued to share a profound wisdom. "I have often found," he said softly, "that the people who challenge us most are reflecting parts of ourselves we have not yet acknowledged or healed." The Buddha taught, "You will not be punished for your anger, you will be punished by your anger." This wisdom reminds us that how we respond to difficult encounters shapes us more than the encounters themselves. Chapter 3. The Wisdom of Non-Interference, When Helping Hurts. In another serene monastery, nestled in a peaceful valley where the sound of the stream echoed, lived a respected monk named Noro. His practical wisdom attracted seekers from distant provinces. Unlike many spiritual teachers who spoke in riddles, Noro offered guidance that anyone could apply to everyday challenges. Villagers and fellow monks alike sought his counsel when faced with difficult decisions or relationships that had become tangled like fishing nets. One crisp autumn morning, as red maple leaves danced on the breeze outside the meditation hall, a group of Noro's students gathered for his weekly teaching. Among them sat a young monk named Takashi, whose troubled expression immediately caught Noro's attention. "Today," Noro began, his voice gentle yet clear as a mountain stream, "we will explore a teaching that many find difficult to accept. It is the wisdom of non-interference, of knowing when helping others is truly helpful and when it may cause unexpected harm." Several students exchanged confused glances. Surely helping others was always good. Wasn't that the foundation of their spiritual practice? Noro smiled at their puzzled expressions. "Life is like a great river," he continued, "and each of us is a small boat navigating its currents. How many of you have tried to steer someone else's boat without being asked?" Nearly every hand in the room rose, including Takashi's, though his movement was hesitant. And how many found that their well-intended intervention created unexpected consequences? Again, most hands remained raised. Takashi's face flushed with emotion as he lowered his gaze to the wooden floor. The paradox of compassion. When helping inadvertently harms. The Buddha expressed this wisdom beautifully. If you want others to be happy, practice compassion. If you want to be happy, practice compassion. But what does true compassion look like? Is it always rushing in to fix others' problems? Or might there be a deeper wisdom in knowing when to step back? Noro shared a story passed down through generations about two childhood friends, Shun and Masu, who grew up together in a coastal village. Their bond was so strong that villagers often remarked it was like they shared one heart between two bodies. As adults, Shun became a successful merchant, while Masu followed his father's footsteps as a fisherman. One spring, terrible storms damaged many fishing boats and nets. Masu, like many others, found himself in serious financial difficulty. The repairs to his boat would cost more than he could afford, and without it, he could not support his family. However, Masu was proud, too proud to ask for help, even from his closest friend. He began working extra jobs on land, determined to earn the money for repairs through his own efforts, even if it took many months. Shun noticed his friend's struggles and wished to help. What good is my prosperity, he thought, if I cannot share it with those I care about most? But knowing Masu would refuse direct assistance, Shun devised what he believed was a compassionate plan. Without saying anything to Masu, Shun arranged to pay the boat builder in advance for all necessary repairs. He asked the craftsman to tell Masu that an anonymous village patron had created a fund to help all fishermen affected by the storm, and that his repairs would be covered through this fund. When Masu heard this news, his initial relief quickly gave way to suspicion. No such patron or fund had been mentioned in village council meetings, and why would his boat be repaired before others who had suffered greater damage? After asking questions around the village, Masu discovered the truth. His childhood friend had arranged everything behind his back. Though the intention was kind, the deception wounded Masu deeply. When Masu confronted Shun about the secret arrangement, their conversation grew heated. "I would rather have worked for a year to fix my own boat than have you arrange this deception," Masu said. "Do you think so little of me that you believed I couldn't solve my own problems?" Shun was stunned. "I only wanted to help," he protested. "I have more than enough, and you were struggling." "But it wasn't your struggle to solve," Masu replied. "Some challenges we must face ourselves to discover our own strength." Nora looked directly at Takashi, whose discomfort was now evident to everyone in the room. The Buddha taught us, "No one saves us but ourselves. No one can, and no one may. We ourselves must walk the path." This wisdom reminds us that each person must discover their own way forward. "What happened to their friendship?" one of the younger students asked. "It was damaged for many years," Noro replied. "Though they eventually reconciled, something had shifted between them. The balanced exchange that had characterized their friendship was disrupted." Masu felt diminished by Shun's actions, even though they came from a place of genuine care. Another student questioned, "But surely it's better to have a repaired boat than to struggle, right?" "Is it?" Noro asked gently. Consider what Masu lost in this exchange. He lost the opportunity to overcome a significant challenge through his own efforts. He lost the confidence that would have come from solving his own problem. And, perhaps most importantly, he lost trust in the one relationship he had always counted on to be honest. The Buddha taught that suffering is our greatest teacher. When we rush to remove another's suffering without being asked, we may unintentionally deprive them of important lessons they need to learn. Takashi could remain silent no longer. "Master Noro," he said, his voice barely above a whisper, "I think I have made this mistake recently." Noro nodded encouragingly, inviting him to continue. "My younger sister has been struggling to pass her examinations to become a healer," Takashi explained. "Without telling her, I spent many evenings rewriting her study materials in simpler language, believing I was helping her. Last week, she discovered what I had done, and instead of being grateful, she was upset. She said I made her feel incapable, like I didn't believe she could succeed on her own. Now I understand her reaction," Takashi continued. "I wasn't respecting her journey. I was imposing my solution without being asked." Noro smiled warmly at the young monk's insight. This brings us to the heart of today's teaching. The Buddha instructed his followers to practice karuna, compassionate action. But true compassion requires wisdom about when to act and when to wait. If someone is drowning and calls for help, by all means extend your hand without hesitation. But if someone is learning to swim and struggling with difficult currents, watching with supportive presence while they find their own strength may be the greater kindness. The wisdom of boundaries and letting go. Each person must navigate their own karma, Noro continued. When we interfere without being asked, we disrupt the natural flow of cause and effect that guides each life toward awakening. Even Buddha, with all his wisdom and compassion, offered teachings only to those who sought them. How do we know when to help and when to step back? The boundary seems unclear, as an older student from the back of the room asked. An excellent question, Noro acknowledged. The Buddha offered guidance when he said, before giving, the mind of the giver is happy. While giving, the mind of the giver is made peaceful. After giving, the mind of the giver is uplifted. This teaching points to both our intention and the results of our giving. Before offering help, ask yourself, am I doing this to genuinely support the other person's journey or to make myself feel useful and important? Will my assistance honor their dignity and autonomy or subtly diminish them? Have they indicated in some way that my help would be welcome? And perhaps most importantly, is this actually mine to solve? Many times, what appears as helping is actually interfering with lessons that person needs to learn themselves. Noro drew a simple circle in the sand. Think of each life as having a boundary like this circle. Inside the circle are the experiences, challenges, and growth that belong to that person alone. True compassion respects these boundaries. Sometimes the most compassionate action is simply to be present with someone in their difficulty, not trying to fix or change their experience, but offering the gift of your attentive care while they find their own way through. Noro also explained Dana the practice of generous giving. True generosity comes without strings or expectations. It does not diminish the receiver or elevate the giver. There's a big difference between these approaches. I notice you're struggling. How can I support you? And I see your problem. Let me fix it for you. The first honors the other's wisdom and agency. The second subtly suggests they are incapable. As evening approached, Noro shared one final story. Long ago, a man noticed a butterfly struggling to emerge from its chrysalis. The butterfly was working very hard, and the man felt compassion for its struggle. Wanting to help, he gently used a small knife to widen the opening of the chrysalis, making it easier for the butterfly to emerge. The butterfly came out quickly, with a swollen body and small shriveled wings. The man expected that at any moment the wings would... This story is a perfect illustration of the wisdom of non-interference. The butterfly's struggle to free itself from the chrysalis is essential for the fluid from its body to be pumped into its wings, making them strong and able to fly. By helping, the man deprived the butterfly of its essential growth process, rendering it unable to take flight. Similarly, when we rush to remove every difficulty for others, we may inadvertently strip them of the opportunity to develop their own strength, resilience, and wisdom. Chapter 4. Sowing Seeds of Mindfulness, How to Live with Relationships. Purposefully, understanding the invisible design of karma and the wisdom of non-interference is not just knowledge, but an invitation to practice in daily life. We can live more mindfully in our relationships by practicing deep listening and observation. Instead of rushing to offer advice or solutions, learn to listen deeply, to listen without judgment, without interrupting, simply being present with the other person. When someone brings difficulty or challenge, instead of blaming or avoiding, ask yourself, what is this reflecting in me? Perhaps it's a part of yourself that needs to be acknowledged, healed, or a lesson in patience and compassion. Cultivating gratitude for every encounter. For all relationships, even the difficult ones, cultivate gratitude. Each person brings a lesson, a potential for awakening and growth. Remember Hotaka's 3 small gifts to Hiroshi. The perfectly smooth stone from the stream, a reminder of growth through hardship. Those who hurt us are often our most profound teachers. A dried cherry blossom, symbolizing brief but brilliant connections that leave a beautiful mark. Their beauty changes you, and the garden remembers their presence in the soil itself. A tiny carved wooden lantern, representing momentary guides who appear at crucial junctures, illuminating a single step. A single moment of light and darkness may be enough to show the path forward. Keep these symbols in mind, and when you doubt the purpose of a connection, look for the teaching it brings. The principle of lighting a lamp for someone else. Hotaka told Hiroshi, if you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path. This means that your presence in the lives of others can illuminate without diminishing your own light. When we help others genuinely, without self-interest, the light of that compassion also shines back and illuminates our own path. Practicing graceful letting go. The Buddha offered an incredibly important teaching. In the end, only three things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Letting go is not abandoning or rejecting a relationship. It is an acceptance that everything is impermanent, that every relationship has a season, a purpose. When a relationship has served its role, holding on will only bring suffering to both parties. Learn to recognize when a connection has fulfilled its purpose, and learn to let go gently, completely, without resentment or regret. This is especially true for relationships that cause suffering. Sometimes letting go is the most compassionate act you can do for both yourself and the other person. Conclusion. We have journeyed together through the deep layers of Zen Buddhist wisdom, discovering that no relationship in our lives is random. Each person, whether a sturdy ancient tree, a brilliant blossom, or a sharp stone, is a seed of destiny, bringing a precious lesson and a potential for your spiritual growth. As you drift towards sleep tonight, consider that every person in your life, past, present, and yet to come, arrives with perfect timing, carrying lessons your spirit is ready to receive. As someone who has dedicated a lifetime to contemplating these teachings, I believe that understanding the invisible design of karma not only helps us accept the ups and downs in relationships, but also opens up a deeper path to growth, living fully, and finding true peace within the garden of our own soul. So what about you? Are you ready to re-examine the garden of your life and cherish every seed that destiny has sown? Let every encounter become an opportunity for you to grow and illuminate your own path.